Hey everyone! As I was trying to finish off this video, I spent some time to rewatch the last 3 videos I published and realized that I've poured an impressive amount of work into the body, but the results are looking extremely good. But I still have road cover to complete this build, and I have grown a bit impatient to put things together. So, without further ado, let's not waste more time and let's get to work. Let's start to work on the front axle system. The core of this system is a central tilting axle mounted beneath the radiator. This main axle connects to the extension bars on each side, effectively doubling its width. At each other end, we later mount the wheel hubs. For additional stability, a flat support rod runs diagonally from each axle end to a point near the clutch under the dashboard. Note that this assembly is separate from the steering mechanism, which will be added later and connects directly to the wheel hubs. During assembly, I encountered a few challenges. The extension bars require some sanding to fit properly, and I noticed misalignment with the protruding bolts on the 2 sides. While this isn't visibly obvious, it's worth mentioning in case you're looking for a more realistic look. After test fitting the wheels, the overall width appears correct, suggesting this might be within acceptable tolerance. Without access to an original tractor for reference, I'm proceeding with its configuration as it seemed to function as intended. So I got to this point, and as I'm doing this, I'm also realizing that these things need to come off. Without removing them, I won't be able to slot this in because that's how they suggested to build it. So I will have to do something here. And it's probably going to be getting this out, drilling it. Effectively, what you're going to see is a number of adjustments to get the bonnet to open, which require some fiddling. I started by removing the plastic pins that should have let the bonnet to tilt open. This will be replaced by some metal pins that will be inserted into some holes that I will drill in a moment. As you can see, at this point I already had the wheel hub and the wheels slotted in and fixed in place, with the steering arm glued on top. I am glad that the wheels can turn this much, as it would make the whole operation extremely difficult and, if not impossible, to drill the holes themselves. As for the metal pins, you'll see I will not glue them in place, as I am planning to keep the bonnet separate until the very end. The difficulty in putting the bonnet on started to worry me. It wasn't just a question of not being able to latch the bonnet at the bottom, but effectively the whole thing didn't even want to get on without forcing it.
This is crazy, it's not slotting in. Oof.
Now comes the steering axle. I am really sorry, but a lot of these parts do not translate to what I'm used to in modern cars. So if you know what this is called, feel free to add a comment. Anyway, this part is particularly finicky, as while the whole steering seems to have been engineered to be flexible and turn, as soon as this rod will be glued, it will end up locking the wheels in position. Which is a bit of a pity. Once again, over-engineering a play. Nonetheless, I cannot complain, and if you were to put this kit together yourself, I cannot stress enough how much you need to dry fit first, before gluing anything. Also, the grid on the mat that I am working on proved to be extremely useful to ensure everything was aligning properly. As I'm putting together the steering, I also realized I missed the famous 3-point hitch system, which we talked about at the very beginning.
Then, of course, you build a plough on wheels to harness to it. Now, think of a tractor as a ploughing tool. Why not make the ploughshare part of it, without any wheels of its own, and couple it here, and here, and on top here. This 3-point linkage, as it's called, is the crux of the idea. It makes every tool part of the tractor, not dead weight to be dragged. A lever at the driver's side operates a hydraulic pump to raise or lower the tool, so you can plough at any depth at a touch of the lever.
I put it together without weathering it or anything, and I will set it aside for now. It was a bit of a distraction for the current pace, and I needed it. Okay, let's get back to this idiotic bonnet. A few moments ago you saw me struggling to put it on, and now I would like you to show you how difficult it is to take it out. The struggle is real.
Who the fuck thought this was a great idea? So, all of this needs to come off, and all of this needs to come off. So I need to completely remove this and this. I hope you really can see this. I shaved off this part here and this part here, so that now this could open a little bit more, but at least this can also close and open. This is the amount of work that I had to do. It's not the prettiest, but it works. And now we move into engine grime and bull after the major spillage that I had. This is going to be interesting. So I have a few, the one that we know, but then, and this one, which I love, but I also have this dirt and stir dirt, which I would like to try. But to do the starting bit, I will start with the with a pigment, probably dark earth pigment, and I'm gonna keep it on the brownish side.
Let me elaborate a bit on the plan I have for the wheels. As you might have noticed, I didn't weather the tires, and as plain as they are, now they will stick out like a sore thumb. You can imagine already where I am going with this: weathering them. The problem I have though is that all the photos of the E20, the tires are either caked in mud or the opposite, clean as if they were brand new. I decided to revert to other images not specifically of this tractor that could give me a better hint of a daily usage look. The idea behind the pigment would be to provide a credible enough base by creating a subtle used look without overdoing it, or in other words, without covering them entirely. It's also very interesting to note how much the acrylic pigment diluted with just a bit of water is able to stick to the rubber without completely coming off as soon as it dries. I'm now starting with the area nearby the rim, which is very likely where mud and dust will likely accumulate. Once dry, I will use a hard brush to fade it enough and make it look convincing. The same will happen on the front wheels. As the result so far is quite nice, I try my hand at the tire track on the front wheels. It looks like the best place to start because of its simplicity, as I imagine the exposed rubber would be cleaner than the trucks. So I proceed to pass around it with the pigment and then brush it away from the exposed part by using a short stumpy brush. As the front wheels now look quite realistic, I try to think of a way to replicate the solution on the rear wheels. I initially start with exactly the same approach, but then realize that due to the truck shape, the weathering they already had and the pigment itself is not actually working. So I try to clean it off as fast as possible, and I try to work out another solution. I have to walk around two main factors: the pigment requiring quite a bit of effort to be removed, and the fact that the shape of the truck is very bold and big, so any cleaning might remove more than I actually want. So I need to be surgical. I decide to pass the pigment only around the chunky track block and use the cleaning brush to try to blend it as much as possible. And as you'll see, the result is very credible and close to what I imagine being a good solution. You try and you learn. I want to finish off with some additional rust accents, using the dark rust deposits. I don't know if dark is the right word, as it's particularly brilliant as a color, but I like it, and it really accentuates the effect in those areas where the rust is really fresh and accumulating. As I bought this bottle as a duplicate by mistake, I realized that the first one I have was extremely orangey compared to this, and made me wonder if this is just a failure of the K quality assurance, or is it normal? Well, do let me know if you ever had any occurrences like this. This marks the end of this quite short video, and thanks to my camera that decided to give up while filming. I will see you soon with the next part. Ciao!